Hello and welcome to Quick Tips with me, Ryan. Today we're going to be talking about how to transfer one email to another, or specifically, how to transfer one Gmail to another. These instructions are going to be specific to Gmail and the migration from an old Gmail account to a new one. The steps here are applicable for rescuing your data from an old Gmail account and moving them to another account too, but there are some additional steps required. This might be useful if you need to start a new Gmail account for any particular reason, a new work address, or you're migrating from an old work address, or it might be that you're one of our community members who've been affected by the outage of Highlands.com and need to move to a new email address. So we're going to look right now at your old email address, and this will be a stand-in for your old Gmail account. As you can see, there's lots of emails in here, and there's also going to be contacts and calendar items and photos and all of that stuff associated with your account. So let's start with the easiest thing to do. The easiest thing to do will be to migrate your contacts. So let's do that first. If you click this up here, these 9 dots, this will help you navigate the different services associated with your Gmail account. We're going to click Contacts to start. Here you'll see your contact lists. You'll see the names of your contacts, their email addresses, phone numbers, and any additional information you have about them. This is an account that we don't really use here at the library. It's just sort of a dummy account, so you won't see much information associated with this account here. Now, very simply, we're going to click Export. There'll be, for most services, an import and an export tool. They mean exactly what they seem like. An export tool takes things away, and an import tool brings them in. So when you click Export here, it'll ask us how we want to export the contacts. We're going to do it for Google CSV. If you're migrating into an Outlook account, or an iOS account, or a macOS account, you might want to choose one of these two things. But since we're going from a Gmail account to a Gmail account, we're going to click Export as Google CSV. Click Export here. Now, this will get automatically downloaded to your Downloads folder. You can open up the Finder, or if you're on a PC, open up File Explorer. And I'll show you what File Explorer looks like. The File Explorer icon on a PC looks like this. So you're going to open up either your Finder or your File Explorer and navigate over to Downloads, where you'll see that your contacts have been exported here. Now it's time to go over to your new Gmail account. So I've got mine open over here, but if you want to select another account, you can just click your little icon up here. It'll either have a picture of you or the first initial or first name or something like that. And you'll see all of the accounts that you're signed into on your computer from there. I'll navigate down here to this one I just made up. And I'll see my empty contacts. They're empty because I don't have anything here yet. Now, if I clicked Import, it'll ask me to select a file. And I'm going to do that. Select a file. Mine automatically comes up in my Downloads folder. Here it is, right where we left it. But if you somehow open this and it's on a different folder, just find Downloads. In the left-hand side on a PC, you'll find this just the same way. And click Contacts. And once I hit Import, in just a matter of seconds, my contacts are here. Here they are, right where I left them. Great. Now that we've migrated our contacts over, let's go back to our old account here and do our calendar items. Again, I'm going to click these 9 dots and find my calendar. You'll see nothing on my calendar right now because, as I mentioned, this is just a dummy account for explaining this. But what we will do is we have to import and export in a slightly different way. I'm going to click this gear. And remember that when you see a gear, that's always going to be settings. No matter what you're using, it's sort of the universal symbol for settings. So let's click it. Go into settings here. Now, on my left side, here we got our old friends, import and export. Now, once I click that, it's gonna give me the options of doing import or export. Now, I'm gonna export because this is my old account. So we wanna export my 2 calendars. And I'm gonna click export here. Just like we did before, these are going into our downloads account. Now, if you have more than one calendar in your calendars, they're going to be zipped together in a zip file. And if you don't know what that is, it's basically a package. So imagine that it's delivered a package to your doorstep with multiple things in it. That's what a zip file is. It's sort of all those things placed in a neat bag and then zipped up. To do it, we can double click it, which will open the account, or right click, and on a PC, you'd see something that says extract. On a Mac here, we'll just double click it to open. And it'll give us a folder with our 2 calendars in it. Okay, let's go to our new account. Again, we're going to flop over to our new Gmail account. And here we are in the calendar for our new Gmail account. And just like we exported, we're going to go up to settings. But this time we're going to do import. Now, over here, it says to select the file. And then here it says add to calendar. What that means is it's going to take all your events from the calendar you import and put them on a new calendar that's one of yours over here. So let's say I wanted to take all my old events, but I wanted to set them aside and specify that they were associated with my old calendar. What I would do is click to add calendar, create a new one, and I might call it something like old account. Now when I go to import, that's one of the choices over here to add those files to a calendar called old account. So let's select them. Here's my folder, and here's my main calendar file. You do have to do this individually for each of your old calendars. You can't import all of your events at the same time. So I'll click import. There we go. I've imported 4 out of 4 events. Now I'm going to do the second file it generated for me, birthdays, and add them again to old account. There we go. So if you've done this, you've done a big step towards rescuing the data from your old account. But it's not just contacts and it's not just calendars. It's tons of things. If you look over here, you've got all of these different apps that you use with that email address. Now, maybe there are some that you use and some that you don't. Some folks might use Drive, some folks might use Photos, and some people might not even use contacts or calendars. That's okay. But if we want to get all of that material and make sure nothing is lost, we need to go to a service called Google Takeout. And that is takeout.google.com. Google Takeout allows you to save or receive a package, essentially, of all of the things associated with your email account. All your Chrome bookmarks, all your Google Classroom information. Your contacts, again, are going to be archived again. You can uncheck that if you don't want them once again. All your Drive files, Google Fit. Some of these are even Google services that aren't used anymore, that don't exist anymore. You'll get that data. Google Photos, Google Play Books, all of these things. So you can select as many of these as you think are relevant, or decide to select all of them and just get your files over there. Whatever seems to be the easiest thing for you and most relevant for you. So right now, all I want to save are my old emails. I want to make sure that stuff isn't lost. My old notes and messages and letters from person to person, and probably a whole lot of spam too. So we'll just click Mail. If you want, and you only want some mailboxes, you can select only the mailboxes that you want. All you do is uncheck Include All Messages and check just the ones that you want. You go down here to Next Step. It'll ask you how and when you want your data. We're going to say export once so that we're only getting all of this stuff one time. You can ask it to export every 2 months for 1 year, and then it will gradually, send you those backups. But right now we're going to do export once, and then we'll click Create Export. It says here, Google is creating a copy of files from Mail. This process can take a long time, possibly hours or days to complete. You'll receive an email when your export is done. Now, depending on how much data you have in your account, that's pretty accurate. It can take hours or days. Patrons who've done this to me have reported wait times anywhere from 6 hours to 48 hours for a full export of a large, historic account. If you've got only a few things in there, it can take as short a time as 30 minutes, but I would say don't rely on this being any shorter than 4 or 5 hours. Now, I'm going to show you one thing while we're waiting for that email to come in, and that is a program called Thunderbird. Now, when you receive your old emails from your old email address, they're going to come to you in a file format called an MBOX, stands for mailbox. Now, Google can export this file format. Essentially, think about it as Google packing up all your stuff when you're moving out of your apartment. Google puts that all into the box for you and puts it on your doorstep. But Google can't unpack that for you. I don't really understand why, but Google doesn't give you the opportunity to just say, I want to bring that to my new apartment. You have to use a third-party program, and we're going to use Thunderbird. So go to google.com and type in Thunderbird, download. Okay, here we go with Thunderbird. It's a free download, and we're going to click it here. Thunderbird is an email client, the same way that you'd use Apple Mail or Outlook or Mail on your iPhone. Thunderbird is a nonprofit owned by Mozilla, which also produces Firefox, and it's a great company with a lot of privacy standards. So, like everything else, that's going to go to your Downloads folder. We'll open it here, and we're going to install it. If you're on a Mac, you can just drag Thunderbird to your Applications folder, right there. Don't forget to eject it when you're done. But if you're on a PC, you'll have to go through an install wizard. I'm sure you're familiar with it. Double-click the icon and run through the install wizard, and when it's done, you'll have Thunderbird installed on your computer. I'm going to go to my Applications folder over here, but if you don't know where that is, you can always click the Spotlight search and search for Thunderbird. It'll be right here. On a PC, your search is down around in this area, like you'd use for searching anything on your computer. And when I open Thunderbird, the first thing I'm going to need to do when it's done is to associate it with my new Thunderbird. It's going to prompt us to set up an account. The account that we want to set up is our new email address, the address that we're bringing things to. So I'm going to add my address and my password in here. Now, I use a password manager to copy the password in. You will have to type yours out, but that's how I deal with my passwords. If you're interested in discussing passwords, we have other information about that. So continue. Okay, it's going to find my configuration, and for a Gmail account, it's going to do that almost automatically. It will know all the settings and all the ports and all the blah, blah, blah technical stuff in order to add your account in here. I hit done. I'm going to have to put this in again. So once you do that, it's going to need your username and password again. And that's just for Google to authorize that that's being used there. So if you have two-step verification enabled, it's going to need to verify that and send you a message. You want to make sure that you're in a place where you can receive text messages if necessary. If you don't have two-step verification enabled, you may not have to do this bit. And you're going to want to allow these things. Okay. Now we're finished here. So we want to click Finish. And it will take us, I'm going to skip the integration. If you feel like you want to use Thunderbird as your email client from now on, you can set it as the default, but for what we're doing today, it's just a way to bring our email addresses from our old email address into our new one. So I'm going to skip the integration here. And you'll see that here's my Gmail account, and here are all my current emails. Now, before we go to our old email address and see if we've got that Google Takeout, we need to add one more thing, and this is called an add-on. So over here, you'll see this 3-line menu. It's called a hamburger menu, and when you see these 3 lines, or sometimes 3 vertical dots, it's always going to suggest that there's a menu here. We're going to go to Add-ons and Themes. And what we want to do is find some add-ons. And what this is it's going to be a little helper program to allow us to import that inbox. So we're just going to type the word import, and when we do, this will come up as the first result, Import Export Tools. So we're going to click Add to Thunderbird, and we'll allow it to add. Okay, great. When we go back here to Add-ons Manager, we've got it. Now, what we're going to do is go back to our old email address, the one where we requested Google Takeout. Now, my Google data is ready to download because I did this earlier. Again, yours may take some time. Now, if you look at this email, you'll see we finished creating a copy of the Google data you requested on June 26, 2022. You can download your files until July 3rd, 2022. So when you request a Google Takeout, these files don't live in your email forever. You'll need to download them before this date. And all you do is hit this button that says download your files. You'll be taken here. You'll need to log in one more time. And verify you if it needs to do that. And here we go, manage your exports. Here are my exports, just the one created on and available to. The download started for me, but if it doesn't on yours, just hit the download button. Now, for some of you, this may be a lengthy process downloading these. I just asked for a small amount of emails from an account I don't really use, but if I've been using it for 10, 20 years, as some of you have, those of you with highlands.com addresses, it may take quite some time. And it may be split into multiple files. And it's going to come, you see, in a zip, just like we're used to. Go over here to my downloads folder, anticipating its arrival. And when finally the time runs out, I'm going to open it here. And when I extract it, you'll see that I've been given a folder, mail, called all mail, including spam and trash, .mbox. This is the file that we want for Thunderbird. Okay, so let's go over to Thunderbird, and we're going to import it into a local folder. What that means is a local folder means that it lives on your computer, not out with an email address, not out on the cloud, on your computer. I've made a folder already called old, and all I have to do to import that mbox is to right-click my target folder, and you'll see the first thing here is that add-on that we downloaded, Import Export Tools NG. And we'll go down here to Import Mbox File, because that's what we want to do, right? As long as we read the options, it will usually be able to figure out what we want. We want to import directly. You can ignore the rest of these. And now again, it'll bring me back to my downloads folder. I want to go to Takeout, Mail, and my Mbox. And when I do that, it's going to start bringing my old emails in here. Here we go. I had 1,432 emails. Here they are. Great, right? If you're doing this from home, you're going to be able to see all your old emails in here. Now, we've brought them into a local folder, but let's say we want to bring them in to our new email account. I'm going to right-click and add a new folder for old, but you don't really have to do that. Any old folder will do. Now we're simply going to take this folder and drag it in here. But before I do that, one word of warning, and that is that if your old emails are lengthy, if it's a large file, and for some of you it may be quite large, you may want to reconsider whether you do want to bring it into your new email address. If you are nearing the end of the data storage limit with your old email, you may, if you bring it into your new email, you'll once again be nearing the end of your data storage limit. If you paid for additional storage on your old email, then you will need to pay for storage on your new email if bringing those emails in would cause you to hit the limit of your storage. And if they are hitting the limit of your storage, you won't be able to import them into your new account until that storage is expanded. But now I'm going to take this and drag it here to old. And you'll see at the bottom that I've got a message that it's copying all of these messages into my new account. And once it does that, I'll be able to use my new account to read my old emails just the way that I always would. It provides a more seamless experience to have those emails there. But as I said, you may not want to do that. So it's up to you. If you want to bring those emails in individually, all you do instead of selecting the whole mailbox is to select a certain number of emails and drag those into a particular folder. If I go back to my email address here, you'll see that those old emails are starting to populate into my new email address. And it's a good feeling, especially if you're coming to a Gmail account, from a Gmail account that's being deleted, or that will no longer be accessible to you. It's a good feeling to see those populate there. You can do this with all sorts of material that you've got in Google Takeout. Google Photos, there's an import button there too. If we go to Google Photos, you'll see an upload. And all you do is upload from the computer. Drive is the same way. If you had Drive documents that came over from your old email address, you would be able to import those too. I don't know why this is taking so long. but um, but that's how you do that. So this is how you can rescue your old Gmail information and bring them to your new account. We're here at the library to help you if you have any problems with this, but I urge you to try this out for yourself. There's nothing that you can't do in here, and there's nothing that's going to be a teacher for you like just playing with it, just trying it out. So thank you for joining us today, and don't forget to visit us at desmondfishlibrary.org for more tips and more information about the library. See you soon.